Awesome. Danny, lovely to meet you. Thank you very much for coming on the show this morning. How's things with you?
Morning, Richard. Fantastic, thank you. Just been tangled up in my in-ears, like yeah. But we're good. We're good. The microphone's good. We're all good to go. Thank you, Richard. How are you? You all right?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you, mate. I'm all very good. Look, first of all, I can see the sign behind you there. I think we should start. I'll do this a bit backwards for you today because normally I start like from the beginning with your guitar journey and things. But actually,
Sure.
with you, you got such an exciting business at the moment. It'd be quite cool to start there. I think is that all right
Yeah,
with you?
absolutely. Yeah.
So Danny, DepsApp, which was originally, I think was it WhatsApp originally? Is that right?
Yes. Yes. WhatsApp, and then we had a letter from Meta saying, uh, you know, uh, might be better if you change that.
Really? You got a letter from Meta to say that?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a surprise. Yeah. Small business in Derby, in the outskirts of Derby, middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Um, and then out of the blue, a letter, it said something along the lines of, um, I'm not sure if they liked the word app on the end or the what's, or that the logo was similar, something along those lines.
Okay.
And they essentially asked us to, think up something of our own that we can grow, to
Oh,
save any potential financial disputes. And I thought to myself, wow, this has gone big quite quickly. Within the space of 6 months, we've had Meta on our backs. We've had, no, that's the only really slight thing that's happened bad, to be honest with you. Everything's been positive, really positive, and it's grown advert free, and there's been no adverts. Do you want me to give you a brief rundown of what we
yeah,
do and who
definitely,
we
mate.
are?
It'd be really cool because I was looking on your website before we went live just to look at like the packages and stuff, and I think it's a really cool idea. Like one I wish I came up with myself. Like musicians are always looking for work, aren't they? They're always looking for work. They're always on. There's so many groups on Facebook, and I'm in a lot of them myself. And every single day there will be loads and loads and loads of jobs that pop up. And I imagine I miss so much work because it gets dropped in there. I may miss it. I don't see it. By the time I see it, there's like 500 people commented on it. Like, do you know what I mean? The job's gone. Like, there's so many groups you can be in, but your feed you can only really fit so much onto. I know you can scroll down in that, but it will only load so many things, and you can miss out on so much work. So you've done like a very clever thing, and you've managed to sort of put that into, you know, one sort of place. Is that right? Is that what you've done, sort of thing?
Yeah. So essentially, when we started out, I'm in a corporate events wedding band, and we didn't have any Debs. So we thought we better message around, see who's available, because we don't really know anyone. We're kind of Derby. It's a small city, kind of in between the larger cities, Birmingham and what have you. And there isn't too much of a music scene here, to be honest. So we chucked some posts up on Facebook. Before we know it, within a matter of days, we had hundreds of messages saying I'd be interested in joining. These like a depth pool, if you like. And when you speak to a lot of musicians out there, they'll say, "Yeah, I'm a part of a depth pool," or "I know," or "We've got one or two depths on just available to us." And I thought, well, we don't really know anyone, so we put the word out. In a matter of days, as you said, a lot of people are constantly looking for work. So we've had hundreds of messages in the first few days. And then from there, and it's just kind of grown and grown and grown without any adverts, and people just recommending friends to us. And that's where it kind of gets to a point where you have to grow our side as well as much. I couldn't handle this on my own.
Yes.
Progressively growing by hundreds of messages, week after week, people wanting to join. So I've had to. Initially, it was more of a debt pool, and then from then it kind of grew into a business where I've had to put a little bit of a fee in there to hire some assistants to run this for me with my help as well.
Yeah.
So with that, you need to offer with offering a service, you need to make it worth their while. You need to offer, you need to offer something which is gonna make them want to join. Obviously, the jobs is a great aspect, and everyone's looking for work, but at the same time, it's something you can. It's strongly being a community-based project as well. It's very much about musicians in the groups themselves, and talking about instruments and what they might do in a gigging scenario, what equipment they might use, equipment they might recommend, not recommend, agencies they may say, hey, yeah, these guys are great, try them out, or people not to go to, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's been really popular. It's grown as a hub for musicians, and it's across the UK. So it just seems to continually keep growing positively. As I say, ad free, and it's just growing and growing and growing.
It's great. I mean, when I saw it, mate, honestly, like, I love like looking at different businesses and stuff and new businesses popping up. And when I saw it, I just thought that was a really great idea. That's going to work really well. And I did like the original. Oh, nice, yeah.
I'm repping Creed.
I thought you'd have
Didn't
a
realise. They're on the way, folks.
Awesome.
We don't have any merch just yet.
Yeah, I saw it pop up and what you were doing in that, and I thought it was a really exciting thing. I did wonder why you changed the name initially, because I was like, oh, I really like the name. It's really cool. It works really well. But that's down to Meta, so we can blame them for that. So
yeah, I'm not going to go against Meta. I mean,
no, it's probably not best. Was the letter a scary letter, or was it a nice letter? Was it like just a little warning?
No, it was just like a letter out of the blue. Just I thought it might be junk mail. I opened it just in case, and it wasn't from themselves. It was for lawyers that represent them. Okay. Reaching out, saying, "Hey, we represent Facebook and Meta," and it was in a lot better written than I'm saying right now. But essentially, it said, phonetically and characters similar to ours, and the logo was a little bit similar. And they just basically said, here's a list of things that you can do to, try and step away from something so similar to ours. Talked about how WhatsApp and Facebook have grown their business, and they're careful of other businesses, being closed and things. But when it came to that, there wasn't really much income coming in, and it was just me running it. And I thought, you know what, I've really not got time for this. I got other businesses on the go, and I've got the family and what have you. But then I wrapped my brains and figured out what else we could use, and DepsApp seems to work just as well. It explains what we are and sort of what we do. But back to the Facebook groups, as you said.
Yes. Yeah.
The Facebook groups, they've been very beneficial, and in essence, they really are running the musician community as a whole. You got hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs per year posted to these groups, various groups. There's actually 100 or so groups that our assistants have joined. And as you said, it's people haven't really got the time every day to scan through every single one of these groups. Not only have you got the jobs posted, but a lot of them will be positions for an original band, for example, or check out my band's new CD or single. And then mix between those, you've got all the adverts that Facebook's throwing out, trying to sell you things. And then mix between that, people have got selfies and all sorts, and just completely irrelevant things to a job which people are looking for. So what we've done with our service is we've got 3 assistants, including myself, and we scan these 100 Facebook groups each day, and we'll categorize each and every instrument job from all these that are posted. And we have WhatsApp groups for each instrument. So if you're a singer looking for singing work, we'll scan these 100 groups, we'll write out all the jobs as a location, the pay, the link, the contact, any further information you might need, and it'll go directly into a singer's WhatsApp group of currently 73 singers, and immediately they've got the link, the job details, the pay, and it's because it's all done on WhatsApp. It's so quick. Yes. And with that, we've been able to offer to the public completely for free, like an emergency depth service, if you like, as well. Yeah. So we've had instances where people have messaged us saying, our saxophonist has had a car crash, our keyboardist partners fell ill, we need depth for tonight or tomorrow. Have you got anyone? We can say yes, because we've got 73 singers, we've got 52 keyboardists, 123 drummers, 72 guitarists, That's 80 guitarists. I've got it all on my phone, but I won't be looking at that.
I thought you were going to say like 500 guitarists because I was imagining the guitarist group to be massive. But
There's 507 at the moment.
wow, okay.
Musicians altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got instruments, groups for all instruments. So we've got singers, guitarists, bassists, drummers, keyboardists, saxophonists, brass instruments, strings, DJs, sound techs. We've got a group specifically for bands and duos as well, which is quite a popular group because people are constantly looking for work for their bands. And we've got a group which have been jobs consistently sent directly to their phones immediately. And as you said, it's all about speed. We've got lots of people messaging and commenting on a specific job. Well, if you're at work and you've not managed to go through these 100 Facebook groups and see this, you're not going to know. No. So because we're sending it straight to your phone, almost immediately as soon as it's arrived, if anyone is interested to check out our Instagram, which is @DepsApp, you'll see that we've got hundreds of success stories shown via screenshots to show that our musicians have gained most of the work, and to our website as well, that it's been really quite successful in gaining our musicians work. And some of our musicians have earned well over £1,000 from jobs we found them immediately. And also, it's not just the Facebook groups, we've had agencies contact us saying, can you help us? So we've got 4 or 5 agencies that are sending us work. We've got 100 Facebook groups that we're constantly looking for work. We've got a pool of 507 musicians, which if they need a musician, we've got you. And any of them friends, we've got them as well. So it's just generating like 3 different streams of jobs coming into one place for a very small, for the price of a coffee a month, for example.
Yeah.
And people are appreciating this a lot, and it seems to keep growing, and it's going well.
It's really cool. I mean, do you have a criteria for like musicians that join? Is there sort of a a level, or like they've got to have sort of gigging experience, or is there a bar that you set to say like this is then you'll be allowed into one of these groups, or how does that work in terms of sort of?
Yeah, absolutely. So me and my assistants have got a group chat, and we're all musicians, and every single person that applies, it says on our Patreon that they have to join, if they want to join our groups, that you need to provide us with some show us that you're an experienced musician. We don't want you joining expecting work and then not be able to get any because you've not got the show reel or the experience, and you're going against some top level musicians within our groups. Yes. So I'm personally a musician myself. You might see some guitars about and things, and I know what it's like looking for jobs, and we want to make it as affordable and as easy for musicians to find jobs as possible, while still being a business that's able to provide payment for our assistants to find jobs in the first place. So it's a balance, but also with agencies, they'll generally take a 20% commission. I won't name other businesses. I don't want to call anyone out, but there's many out there. And it's fair enough, they need to run a business as well. But I think the reason we've been so popular is that we don't ask for that 20% commission. £200. So let's say on average, you got a musician gaining a £200 show. Mm-hmm. 20% of that was that like 40 quid. And you're giving to the agency. Each and every gig you gain, that's straight to the agency. With us, essentially it's like one you get one gig with us and they'll pay for the entire year with us. Yeah. So any other gig you can get that year, commission free. It's working well, isn't it? And it's exciting. And we've managed to gain we've got an elite group now as well, which is a lot of musicians that have played for these bigger artists. So I thought we must be able to do something with these people that are contacting us. So we created a separate WhatsApp group for them as well, which is another conversation, which is quite exciting.
Yeah, I mean that, as I said, that sounds really cool. Like that elite group is, as you said, artists that have played with big acts or are used to playing to bigger venues, bigger crowd of people. Is that right? So you said you try and sort of put people in in their correct groups, I'd imagine, like where they should be, really, I suppose.
Yeah, so essentially available to the public, there's 3 different groups. There is a community, which is a large group of musicians that play your instrument. So if you join that group, let's say, for example, the singers group, you got, I can't remember specifically, but it's between, I think it's 73. So a good amount of those, at least a quarter of those, are singing teachers. Mm-hmm. So there's not really anywhere else you can go. And if you're a singer looking for some tips and examples to speak to let alone one singer. You can speak to 30 or so with us, like, immediately. So that's one of the benefits of being in the community. And then as a slightly upper tier to that, there's the jobs. Now with the jobs, you get access to the jobs which are found by our assistants that from the 100 Facebook groups. You got access to, obviously, to all the jobs that come in from our 507 Deps. You got jobs that come in from our agencies that require a musician. We've received a message this morning from one of the agencies, and it said this. Hey, Danny, hope you're good, mate. Have a gig in Montenegro.
Wow, okay.
Flying out 23rd and then back 24th. Fee £650, flight and accommodation covered. So this is not something that goes out to the public, which is something comes straight to us. So that's just an example of a gig that comes in from an agency that our members have access to.
Yeah.
So the next tier up would be something that's we call it the elite section, but really it's the musicians that don't want their phone numbers being shared to the wider public, because they generally play to crowds of 10,000 or over people regularly. As a quick example, I can give you some of the artists that they play with in our groups.
Yeah.
And
while you're doing that, I mean, if there's any musicians watching this morning that
sure,
want to ask you any questions about the business, because I said I think it's a fantastic business, it's a really great idea, and it's doing well already, and I know it will just keep growing and growing and growing. But if there's anyone that is watching this morning and does have any questions, like, is it maybe they're a musician or whatever watching because they're interested, they have any questions, like, chuck it your way, really, because I'm sure you got some answers for them on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the artists that some of our elite members have performed with are Ed Sheeran, Adele, Sam Smith, Sophie Ellis-Bextor, George Ezra, Sam Ryder, Cat Burns, Rick Astley, Natalie Imbruglia, Prince, Bob Dylan, Amy Winehouse, Kasabian, Rag and Bone Man, Noel Gallagher, Scissor Sisters, Joe Bonamassa, James Arthur, David Guetta, Calum Scott, Pixie, Lott. That wasn't meant to rhyme, but it did. The Eagles, Kylie, Minogue, Jessie J.
That's some big.
Some of them are out with Rod Stewart, Robbie Williams, Cliff Richard, Ronan Keaton, my grandma's favourite, James Arthur. I've said them. No, James Morrison, Blame of Faith, and there's quite a few more. But I won't carry on with that. But you get the gist.
Yeah, these are huge artists, like huge artists.
Yeah, I would say if anyone's considering to join that, a good at least 95%. We don't really allow in. You have to be on tour currently with one of these bigger names, or have been in the past. Because as you can imagine, there's thousands of musicians in the UK that would love those positions. We don't want them having the phone number of people that are in that position. Yeah, they've got their own things to be getting on with. But so respectfully, make sure you got the experience. But our community, our regular community chat and our jobs community there's some unbelievable musicians in there that have played to many thousands of people. Some of them are on theatre tours across the UK. Some of them are on cruises. Some of them, they've played in every gigging scenario you can think of, and you can ask them any question you like.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's brilliant. It's really, really cool. And even just paying for you to basically like filter all of the jobs through every morning, as opposed to me going through the feed looking for all these sort of bits of work in that. If you're actively looking for work in the industry, like that in itself is worth it. Not even including all the not even including all the rest of the things that is included in the service, but that in itself is worth the worth the fee. Also, you were mentioning before we came on live about sort of in-ear monitors and things like that. You've got discounts with other brands, haven't you? Remember?
Yeah, absolutely. So with the amount of musicians we have, we've been able to message out to quite a few businesses and said, hey, we've got this many musicians. Would you be interested in joining in some sort of partnership and maybe offering a discount to our members exclusively? So with that, we've managed to gain discounts for two of the biggest IEMs businesses, which are Cosmic Ears and also Reed Audio.
Yeah.
And these businesses provide, if you were to go onto their websites, you'll see they provide quite a few of the artists I've just mentioned, the top touring artists, the biggest artists in the world. They provide these in-ear monitoring,
Yes.
them too. So if you can get well up to £100 off by just joining us for the lowest tier with us. You can join us and gain up to £100 off some in-ear monitors, which the public don't have access to.
No. And that's worth it in itself as well. Just get £100 off of, because they're not cheap, are they? If you're going for a top package.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And we've had musicians in our group saying, "I wish I'd joined you before," but we're here if anyone wants any further in-ear monitors. We also managed to get a discount with Strings Direct, and they are Europe's biggest string supplier, and they have given us discount to all things on string instruments. So it's strings, straps, gig bags, pedals, capos, you name it, anything strings related, you get a discount with them as well. And it's growing. We're constantly messaging out companies, businesses saying, "Hey, can we do anything together?"
Yeah.
But yeah, that's 3 of them so far, and it's continually growing. We've had quite a few businesses contact us as well, but some of them we're trying to keep it so we can, in the politest way possible. We're just trying to top quality as possible to our musicians and people that we know can run with the people that we work with. Quite, to be fair, most of our musicians that are regularly gigging, they have some sort of sponsor anyway.
Yeah.
Whether it be in ears or strings or sticks kind of thing. But it's just an added benefit, I guess, to joining our small community of musicians. So if that's something of interest, feel free to check us out. I mean, it's a cancel anytime, so you're not locked into anything. It's there. It's another tool for musicians' arsenal of planning gigs.
Yeah, I mean, and also, just as you said earlier, like one gig, you land one gig, one decent paying gig from the group, and that's covered your costs for the year, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, well, we got saxophonist groups. Their gigs are well over £300, £400 for the jobs that they search for, and that's even less that you'd be paid to join us for the 20%.
That's cool. I was going to ask you as well, because I was quite interested in finding out. Do you have like a filter for like location as well? Or do you have like, or just post all the jobs, or do you sort of locate in terms of location, like where the actual work is, or do you find that musicians are pretty happy to travel all over the place, or do you sort of have like a location dependent?
Depending on the instrument and the fee involved, everything. We have 14 groups altogether, and the way that WhatsApp Business works, which is we run it off, you're only allowed so many groups to label. So with the labeling service that they provide, we've split it all off. So we've got a singers community chat and a singers job group.
Okay.
So with all these different instruments, so with that, all the jobs, the first thing you'll see when it says new job alert in the message, it says location.
Okay.
So you can immediately see where it is and if it's possible for you.
Yeah.
If it's not, we've got hundreds more gigs coming in. We shared actually over 3,000 jobs since September, and we've got over 500 success stories to our Instagram. So, and every couple of weeks to our Facebook, I'll post an update saying, here is some examples of musicians that have managed to gain jobs with us and how much they earned and the location, etc. So we've kept it open. We haven't specifically done it by location. We kept it open to the public, well, not public, but in our groups, because some people are willing to travel that bit further, or they might live in a different location. It works for them because they have somewhere to stay. But it's consistently jobs being sent out almost I can't say every day, but it's every couple of weeks. I'll say how many jobs we share that month, and it's consistently well over a few hundred jobs.
Yeah.
So it works.
It's really good, mate. Like really, really good. And even like as you said, like putting it into like location, price, how much it is, the fee for the gig. Even that, mate, is worth the weight in gold, because how many times do I look on Facebook and there's like a massive long post about the job, and then they're like, where's the fee? Like, where is it? Like, people miss out on vital like things that sort of you've just sort of sift it out and put basically the vital information at the top, so you can see straight away, okay, that's not near me, or that's perfect for me, or that's the fee. It's really good stuff.
Also, when I started this, I was admin to, I'd say, about 20 different Facebook groups. And that was a reach of over 30,000 people across those groups. So being an admin, I regularly saw this.
Mhm.
jobs being posted that do not, as you said, don't have the location, don't have the pay, and we'd regularly have to message them saying, can you change your advert? And that took a lot of time in itself. So
I was going to
thankfully
say
we
that's
got,
got to be frustrating. I was going to say that it's got to be frustrating to keep doing that.
yeah, and it adds to our musicians' frustration, because if there's a job which hasn't, as you just said, we're both working musicians and we want to know where the gig is, what the price is. We haven't got time to wait around for a response. As most of our musicians also talk about, is this is a very important part actually of the talk today. A lot of our musicians will tell us if they've got the gig or not, so they don't need to wait around waiting to hear back from one of the links.
Yes.
They'll say if they've got it or if they've heard any information about it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very frustrating thing for musicians. Previously, they didn't know if the job had gone or not.
Yeah.
But now, if any one of our, say, 123 drummers has got the job, they'll let us know. No one's waiting anymore. It's very helpful to our community, because even one musician can inform over 100 drummers that a job's gone.
Yeah.
So, like I said at the start of the conversation, it's really about that community base that we've got, and that's how I think people have enjoyed it and recommending their friends. Because as I said, there's been no adverts; it's all organically grown, and it's just going positive and growing from there. So it's exciting.
It's really cool, mate. Are you happy to talk about, because you said about earlier that you've got other businesses that you run? Are you happy to talk about, is that in the music industry or is that something different completely?
Yeah. So, my full-time job, I'm an engineer at the JCB World Headquarters. So I've been there for 12 years.
Okay.
So with that, I've got experience in finding processes to sort of make things work and quicker and go from there. So I suppose you could say this helps with this specific position. When how should I put this? So just before COVID, I created a wedding band,
Mm-hmm.
bought all the equipment, quite a lot of expense worth of speakers and equipment and things to get it running. COVID hit. We had at least 12 bookings in the diary, and then everything, as we know, everything kind of went to a pause.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, oh my goodness, I've got these speakers and these gigs, but thankfully we didn't cancel any. They were all moved. So from then, I created I thought, what could the public or could help the use of these speakers? So I created a speaker hire company. With that, you got everything from weddings to funerals to christenings to birthday parties to DJs hiring them to festivals to any event you can imagine, sports days, everything. And since the lockdown finished, that's just continually growing as well. So alongside my wedding band business, which is also growing, I've got the speaker hire business as well, which is growing. So these two in tandem are going with each other.
Yeah.
And then how long was it ago? I'd say good 6-7 years ago, I started a music school with my good friend Morgan in Ashbourne, where we're both from. And that's grown as well over time. So we're Perry. So while I am being a guitar teacher, people go to Morgan. But yeah, that's grown as well. So that's one of the reasons I've had these assistants with DepsApp to help run it, because I've got these other pies to reach in and out of. But it's all grown organically, and I suppose each one of these businesses helps each other out. If any of our musicians need a speaker hire, if the local, we'll just give it to them for free. They've helped us out, we'll help them out, kind of thing. And if it's further afield, we're happy to offer a discount, what have you. We are based in the Midlands, but our musicians are across the country, so it's all good. So yeah, I've got the speaker hire, I've got the music school, and I've got the wedding band, and I've got my full-time job as well.
Yeah.
So that keeps me busy.
I was going to say, I was going to ask you when you started listing off these businesses, how do you find time for yourself? What do you manage to find time to sort of, what is your thing that you do when you do get time off? Do you manage to find time in the week to, find time for yourself, or is it pretty full on?
I'm one of these people that cannot stop. So when people say I've got these businesses, a lot the assumption sort of is you must be busy 24/7. But the reality is you've made a website and every now and again you'll send a quote out. So that might if you got a pre-written script, you know, which is a good tip for anyone out there looking for a job as well. If you've got pre-written scripts and you can just change the location, and if you're really, really good, or maybe you can hire someone to create you know, a good couple of paragraphs about who you are, how you'd be great for the job, and each time change the name and the location, it's just one step closer to speeding up the process of sending out a quote or getting a job, and it goes from there. So it's I'd say it's tricky. Still don't see myself as a businessman or someone that is someone out there publicly to give people tips and things.
Mm-hmm.
But if I did, I would say automation is the way forward.
Yeah.
If you can, the quicker you can send a quote out, the quicker you can get back to someone. People appreciate that. Mm-hmm. People appreciate hearing back. And, it's like a musician looking for a job. If you don't hear back, it's a bit annoying.
Yeah.
It's very much part and par with, you got to be, it's just general politeness. It's just got to be, it's a two-way thing with any job, any quotes in there, any job, any member of the public that's looking to join your service, you got to be just polite and respect them and treat how you'd like to be treated. And that's sort of the way I see DepsApp. It's a community and everyone's helping each other out with tips and gig offers. And I think people appreciate that. So that's just a tip there for anyone to grow with themselves as a musician.
Like that's some really great tips you've said there, Danny. But and everything as well, like from a client's perspective, if when they're sending out these emails to you to potentially get some work, they may actually be sending it out to 5 other 6 other bands. So if you've got an automated system that gets back super quick, before even those other guys have even started to write the email, like again, they're going to be like, oh wow, well, he was really that was really professional response, and he was super quick at getting back. Like that's always going to sit like very highly, isn't it?
100%. And most people out there looking to find a dep, it's a matter of speed. They're not waiting for 20 people to get back and find reprinting every single message. They've got a job to fill and they want to fill it. Yeah. So that's probably the reason why most of our musicians have been successful getting work, because they're getting our jobs sent straight to them rather than waiting to find them themselves, compared within an hour from us, or somehow finding it across the feeds with someone else. So
it makes sense. I got a question for you, mate. What do you feel makes a good dep? What makes a good dep for a job? Do you have what do you think makes a good dep?
What makes a good dep? So 100% professionalism. You got to have a good show reel. You got to have a good looking website, social media. Nobody's going to hire someone that's falling about on the street with a pint in their hand, or you've got to be 100% professionalism. You got to have various pictures and videos of your previous work. Career highlights is a bonus. Mm-hmm. You got to perhaps look at it as professional as you're going for a full-time job somewhere. You got to show someone that you are the correct person for the job, and you got the experience, and you're willing to give 110%, and you've been in a similar gigging scenario before, or which will help, or you're local to the gig and you can get there, and here's my number and you can contact me immediately with any questions. It's just all about closing the communication between you and bringing it closer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean that's pretty much what I was thinking. Really, is that is all.
What are your thoughts?
I think a lot of it for me is reliability. Like over the years we've been pretty lucky. We haven't needed loads of deps, but when we have used deps, we've been pretty lucky that we've had reliable deps and really good deps. But every now and again, and it does happen, if we do get a dep that lets us down or whatever, they're immediately like crossed off the list. There's no like second, third chances. There's if somebody is booked in our calendar to cover a gig for us and they let us down with a poor excuse, or like, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm double booked or can't make it now, or whatever. Honestly, it's literally, we're not using that dep again. Like, it is really that sort of cutthroat. I don't know. It's maybe just how we work, but that's just, we don't. If anyone gives us a sense that they're unreliable, or potentially could not turn up, or they're going to let you down, and you're going to message them before the gig and say, "Are you on your way?" And they say, "No." What do you mean? I'm at another gig. Like, if there's any of that, then we just sort of, we've just crossed them straight off the list. I don't know. I'm guessing that's similar to sort of thing for you, really. But is that how you work? Or?
Well, you got to bear in mind that if you're in a group of say 123 drummers, and someone has heard, but someone's offered a job to the group, and they've heard back that that drummer has been unprofessional.
Yeah.
Then not only our network may hear about it, but their extended network of how many Facebook friends they might hear back from.
Yeah.
So you're not only letting that down that band if you're doing a bad job, you're potentially putting a dive bomb on your career, because people are going to talk about your unprofessionalism. It's very much a community-based job, being a Dep and a part of the musicians community.
You're right, and people do talk as well. I've heard stories of, people letting people down, and then I've talked to other musicians, and they know about it as well. And it talks. It's like Chinese whispers. Like it does talk. Like the people in the industry do talk about it. So
there are agents out there that have, well, I won't mention names, but they're well known out there for not paying people, and that's gone across our groups like wildfire.
Yeah,
and people don't want to work with those people anymore.
No,
these people chat.
Yeah. Have you ever been caught out like that? Because I'm interested to know. I've luckily, touch wood, I've not come up, I've not ever had a situation where we've not been paid. Like, touch wood. Have you ever had that situation where you've not paid for a gig, or an agent's let you down, or something's happened and they've said that you're not being paid? Or have you ever had that situation?
No, I haven't. Running the band myself, we've got contracts that go out, and we always specify that we get paid before the gig. That's something I recommend anyone watching to do so, because if you can, I mean, a lot of jobs out there will say, invoice only, or we'll pay you a week after, example.
Yeah.
I will say that no one in our groups have gained a job and not been paid, kind of thing.
No.
We're very fortunate in that respect, because these are public jobs, and you don't have control of those. Not all of them are public, a lot from agencies, a lot from our musicians, but no, it's not something that's happened with us. And if it should it do, Musicians Union, ladies and gentlemen, pop them a message. They're well versed in these scenarios, and they'll talk you through your options. Also, if you're a part of our groups, you can ask our many musicians what they would do in the situation, or have they got this experience with this agency or with this musician. Are they professional? Do they pay on time? Do they pay at all? Which they all have so far, thankfully.
I think there's a few really important things you said there, like as advice to any of the musicians, like getting out, starting a band, or going to go out and start the gigging, is contract and get payment up front. And that's what we do that with the band I'm in, Freeze. We always get, make sure we got the payment before. One other reason is because I just don't like, I've been to weddings in the past, years and years ago, before we started doing all this, and people would turn up like £1,000 or something in cash, sort of thing, and they're giving it to you, and I don't want that sort of money at a wedding, like in your pocket, in your back pocket. I just don't. It's crazy.
We have, on the client's behalf as well. They don't, if they're getting married on the same day, they don't want the added pressure of carrying that amount around with them.
No.
It's but to make it easier on all parts, is the way we've always done it is prepayment if you can. And that's just how we run things, and it negates the possibility of not being paid, or any awkwardness between the service providing and the clients themselves. You want to make sure that the service that you're offering to them is the most slick and professionally run business opportunity that you want them to recommend you to someone else. And if there's been a weird scenario there, they might not do that. So you got to make it as easy as possible for them.
And also, the most awkward thing, if you don't do that, and the client does bring cash or whatever to the gig at their wedding or whatever, and they may forget they've had a great evening and they got the money in their back pocket wherever they kept it, and then at the end of the night, it's the worst thing ever. You got to go up to them and go, "I'm really sorry, but you haven't paid yet. Can we?" That's the worst thing ever. Like, to go in after ask.
Yeah, I know, right? When do you ask them? Is it before or in between or at the end when they can't remember your name?
It just creates an unnecessary awkward situation, doesn't it? I don't know what that is, if it's a British thing or not, but we all seem
maybe.
awkward to ask for sort of payment for a job and things like that. I think it's
Oh,
much more professional
yeah,
to do it beforehand, as you said. But
this is something that comes up. Well, it has come up, but it's something that we constantly will place in the ads as well. We'll say, sometimes a job will say a couple of different price brackets they're willing to pay. We recommend to every single musician that we send a job to, say you're available. It's a business sort of proposition that you're offering to them.
yeah,
So we say to them, always ask for if they can add fuel as well, or say, I'm available, this is my price. You're not only, there's two sides to this. There's the people that are looking for the work and the musician that is available and wants to offer their services. Well, that doesn't mean that this person looking for work should negate their skills or their payment looking for the job just because they need the work.
Yes.
They've got the talent and years of experience and thousands of pounds worth of equipment. And if they're available and got the experience and knowledge and expertise to do this job, they should never say, I'll do it for this low price if I can get to it. You should always know your worth and just don't be afraid to offer a higher price than you would normally, or at least say, can you add fuel on top?
Yes.
Because there's been many times where people have gained, an extra 50, 60 quid just for saying, the people looking for the musician might not have been able to find someone. It's very close, the closer to the date as well, the more they're willing to pay.
Yeah.
We've had scenarios where someone might say, oh no, we need emergency debt, here's the fee. And then we'll send it out. And then, the next day, because it's that in the same night, they'll say, oh, we're willing to pay this much now. Well, if you said that in the first place, then you might have got a musician that's willing to get the job almost immediately. So it's, musicians, if you're watching, ask for the fuel, or at least know your worth. You are worth more. You got this. Yes, there's a lot of musicians out there looking for the work, but know your worth and charge more. Don't think that other people are charging less. They might do, but their experience may show that. They may not have the best equipment. They may not have professionalism. If you're a musician out there that's got the experience, if you've done 100 gigs in the past, also another job might well come up that pays more anyway. Yeah. Which is what I do with my speaker hire quite often. Someone will say, oh, we found this cheaper price elsewhere. And we'll say, well, we it's a popular date and we'll probably get a booking anyway. So you're welcome to go for that option if you wish, but these are our prices. You got to stick with that. Yeah. It's as much a confidence building thing within people themselves as well as a business scenario. I think everyone feels that way, to be fair. No matter how successful you are, I listen to many podcasts of these top CEOs, and everyone has that. No matter every level of musician as well. If you're going out performing to tens, if not hundreds, thousands of people, they've got the same feeling. There's the nerves there. Everybody now and again has the level of what am I doing here, or why am I? Everybody feels that, no matter what level you're on. This is something that's been discussed in the chats before. Yeah. So I just sort of feel it's relevant to the conversation. But luckily, with our community, where it's really friendly groups, so people will, if you put something like that in our groups, you'll have a few people, giving you positive reinforcement, saying you've got this, you need to talk, I'm here. Yeah. It's a lot of DepsApp is built on this strong foundation of a community of musicians that just generally like the hub, the community aspect, to be able to talk to each other about what type of wireless system I should get, what kit would you recommend, as an example from the other day, I've got a new drummer that's at this specific level. What are some examples that I can teach them? If a musician has got a gig on one night and they haven't got the notation for it, musicians that have written them themselves, they'll share it to the group. So we've had on occasion people that needed 5-6 songs, if not more, and our musicians have gone, here you go, just send it straight to them.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of our musicians, like I said earlier, they've done cruise ships, Amdrams, theatre productions, large scale, they played from everywhere from pubs to Glastonbury and everywhere in between. And most of these musicians have got, hundreds of sheets of notation work and happy to share. And the ones that made themselves, we do say don't share anything that's copyrighted kind of thing. And we do check that.
Yeah.
Because it's only fair. So yeah, it's growing and it's positive.
It sounds great, mate, and it's really good. And I'm quite interested in just finding out just before we sort of, because we're nearly up to the hour now. We're sort of, I don't want to take too much of your time up, Daniel, but I just interested to find out sort of a bit more about you, Daniel, if you don't mind, like a bit about you as a guitarist, like where you started out, like what got you into the guitar. We talked a lot about the businesses and stuff, which is great and really interesting. But I'd love to sort of know a bit more about how you got into guitar, like how long you've been playing, things like that. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So my dad's been playing and still does since he was 14, 15. And there's always guitars around the house. So I must have started playing when I was about 6 or 7. And I'm 32 now. I've been teaching since early mid-20s. I went to college and did the music, whatever qualification that is, I got that. And then since
like a
then,
diploma or something, was it diploma?
yeah, I didn't go to university. I went into the other side of like engineering type of thing, and I've been with that since. But I've always kept music on the side as not only a passion for myself, but also opportunities to gain more work as well.
Yeah.
So with that, for a long time I was a peri teacher, going to people's houses and teaching guitar. And then, as I said before lockdown, a good few years before lockdown, I created a music school with my buddy Morgan. He's a drum teacher, grade 8, brilliant teacher, teaches all in all at schools, and I've taught as well. I don't really have much time to teach these days, so I've got a bit of a waiting list. But when I can, every now and again, and it suits, I'll start teaching up again, because I enjoy interacting and helping people.
Yeah.
It's two ways with teaching guitar as well. It's with being a musician, sometimes it feels strange to ask for the payment at the end of it, and then you think sometimes this is the best job ever. Like, I would probably do this in retirement. I'll offer a reduced fee, if not free, to teach in retirement, possibly, just because it's an enjoyment. It's an enjoying thing to do. But then back to the guitar. I've been in various wedding bands, function bands, step over the years. Worked with different agencies as well. Worked with different bands that have been put together. It's music-wise, I've got quite a lot of gear behind me. I'm in a room full of speakers and Marshalls and orange amps and got quite a few guitars myself. I can see a guitar back there.
There's one on the wall. Yeah, the rest of them are packed away under the stairs because I use them, take them out gigging. So they just said they're in our house under the stairs.
What can I see on this pedal board here? So Digitech wah.
Oh yeah, can you see that from there? Can you? Yeah, there's a Digitech wah. There's a whammy. There's a wah pedal. There's the standard stuff on the pedal board. So MXR carbon copy.
Digitech whammy, that's it. Yeah.
Reverb.
Oh, lovely.
That's, to be honest, that's pretty much been retired, that board. I use it in here for teaching and things like that. And sometimes some sort of lessons where you have gear lessons with students where you can say, like, let's go through a few things like this and give them a task to see if you can get this tone, see if you can replicate this tone. I do that with quite a few of my students who get to the more advanced levels or want to get to sort of out gigging and things like that. That's been retired, that board, because I tend to use the sort of, And
what's on your main board?
I use the Kemper, like I literally use a Kemper Profiler Live, and I just use the remote and a Dunlop volume pedal, which connects in and allows me to do wah and volume and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Just to keep it refined, really, mate. I've probably had the Kemper now for probably 5 years, and it's been pretty solid and just solved a lot of problems that I was having with like Marshall stacks and stuff. Mainly back problems. Now it's just lifting him in and out of gigs and stuff. Got
load in and load out.
Yeah. I don't know what do you normally gig with now? Are you still taking out sort of Marshalls and things, or are you orange amps, or are you still taking stuff big amps out, or?
Yeah. Just to add to what you were just saying, quite a few of our musicians on these big touring theatre shows and things, they'll usually have the Fractal or the Neural or these small compact units just because it's easier to travel around and things, and you got all the sounds locked in there.
Yes.
Myself, I've got quite a few amps. I've got 800. I've got 100-watt super lead back in the 70s and early one. Got but from the main gigging rig, it's generally a Boss multi effects.
Yeah.
Just for simplicity and cracking on with the job. Guitar wise, my main ones, I've got a couple down here. I've got my Les Paul Classic Custom and White Firebird. But my main gigging guitar is a Fender White Strat with the Hot Rails pickups in it for that extra bit of a kick, and like you, just a wah and a volume fitted onto the pedal itself, and we've got all our in-ears, so it's just easy that way. And we just like to keep it as slick as possible. Load in, sound check. Generally, it's pretty good. All the volumes are set, so it's just the master and what have you, drums, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, it does make a huge difference if you've been doing it a long time, and you just got to find ways of sort of refining the process and making it slicker and quicker and make it easier for you to do your job, basically. Lifting in and out huge 4x12 cabinets, or even, is it 8x10? I've helped someone lift in a bass player before, lift into a gig like an 8x10 cabinet. Like, I was like, wow, this is ridiculously heavy. Like, you gotta get rid of this.
Oh my word! Yeah, I've definitely done it.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was more of an ego thing back when you're younger and you're like, I need 2 Marshall stacks, and not for wedding bands, mind you, but more for the original acts. But yeah, it's a lot easier, slicker to run with these smaller modules, and they're a lot more popular these days as well, aren't they? You got these YouTube channels that are talking about them instead of these pedals and amps. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love, and will always go back to the sound of a proper valve amp, and I've seen Marshall just brought out the new pedals, the governor and the thing. I went to the guitar show the other day and tried them out. They're fantastic. I've got the original, one of the original pedals somewhere in its pile, which is my go-to.
That's probably gone up in price now because they reissued it.
Maybe never getting rid of that though. It's my fave. It's such a nice little boost. I keep it on a lot of the time just for that extra kick. Like when you're playing through an active guitar, and you got an AMG, for example, 81, 85 Zach. I've got one of them in my bedrooms. But any active pickup really, it's got an extra bit of poke. Well, even with this little Marshall pedal itself, I only keep on a little bit, and it just adds that extra oomph, and it just it kills it, man. It sounds great.
That sounds brilliant. How was the guitar?
Those new pedals.
Just quickly to ask you, how was the guitar show? It's Birmingham Guitar Show, was it? Is that
yeah. It was fantastic. It was thank goodness for the every half an hour or so the quiet times. But there was some fantastic musicians performing there. There was Marshall as you're going in, which most shows, and they had some beautiful custom cabs. They had like a white snake on one of them. They're all sold, but gorgeous looking. And there was some other custom cabs they had. They were amazing. And then you got all the other brands, Line 6 and oh my goodness, there was an enormous stand.
I reckon one year you could potentially yourself have a stand. I had a stand one year. I think it was a couple of years ago before COVID. And I remember what you said about this quiet time. It was so nice just to have, like, I think it was like I can't remember what it was, something like every half an hour they'd have quiet time, because it was just like, it was so noisy. As soon as you walked in a room, like, oh my God. And then it sort of comes to a point where you get used to it, I feel like, and you just sort of forget about it. And then until it goes quiet time, you're like, oh, this is weird. This is so strange. Like, and it's so quiet.
We walked in and it was one of the quiet times, and I forgot they do the half an hour things. And I walked in and I was like, what's going on here? There was a guitar show. And then you hear the sirens going off. These, if you and the staff members do these foghorn type things, and that nearly give me a heart attack at all. And then, it's a great show, man. It's on. I've been there most years since I was a kid, and it's a great idea for the stand. I was considering getting it around this time, but it's been a busy. I've been very busy with DepsApp, just continually growing.
Yeah,
not a chance to get the poster and the merch thing.
I think you do really well. Like you amongst musicians that would all be interested in the service of the DepsApp that you offer. Like, I just think you do
Thank
very,
you.
very well. You get a lot of people come to your stand, I would imagine.
Thank you.
I think,
Yeah, and even if people, even if you're not looking for work or a community isn't for you, then we are a free service to the public. Anyone in the UK who's needs a DEP, same day, if not the next day, we will send it out to the groups for free if anyone needs a DEP. And all of our musicians are experienced and looking for the work. So there's two sides to it. It's a free side for the public. Anyone needs a DEP.
Yeah,
we can generally sort it depending on the instrument in a matter of minutes. And we have done. We've got a lot of screenshots to show that on our Instagram. But then there's the other side. If you want to be part of a community and get tips from the pros, if you want to speak immediately to 20 different singing teachers or guitar teachers, or it's the place to be for a small fee to talk to the professionals and get the discounts and the job opportunities. We've shared well over 3,000 jobs in September. It's the different levels are there for you. So if it's of interest to anyone, feel free to check us out. It's cancel any time. So it's there.
I was going to say,
just
like,
give it a go.
Just to sort of round this off as well, Danny, it's been fantastic talking to you about the business. Where do they need to go? It's obviously DepsApp, but where do they need to go? What website do they need to go to sort of join this, to sign up? Where do they need to go?
Yeah. So our website is DepsApp.com. And if you want to see any of our success stories or videos or people we've managed to get some nice videos from, every now and again when we've reached a milestone, we'll message someone, and we've had Rufus Taylor from The Darkness said hello. We've had oh goodness, we've had a few in there. They're on our Facebook feeds. But if you're interested in checking us out, DepsApp.com.
Yeah. And
all of the success stories are at DepsApp at DepsApp on Instagram.
Fantastic. Well, look, Danny, I said thank you very much, mate. I've taken up an hour of your time now, so thank you very much for coming on this weekend. It's been really difficult, me and you trying to get a time that we can both do. So I appreciate you coming on a Sunday and doing this with me. But thank you very much.
It's been lovely to speak to you. I could talk guitars and business all day long, especially with the equipment you got behind you. And yeah, but it's been lovely to speak. Thanks so much, Richard.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you very much for coming on, Danny.
All the best.
I appreciate it.
We'll chat again soon.
Cheers. Take care.
Bye, everyone.